Bienvenidos, welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, place we discuss all things Liga MX and La Selección Mexicana. My name is Adrian. Thanks for joining us, Tocayos. And Adrian, thank you for being here to discuss Leagues Cup action round one. Adrian, have you been following the Cup so far, man? What have been your thoughts
I
initially?
have been following the Cup. I have been following the Leagues Cup, La Copa de las Ligas, as they say in Mexico. Listen, I used to be torn, but I think I'm coming over, and I'm liking the Leagues Cup. I understand that some people are against it. Some purists say that Mexico should be competing against Conmebol, but I'm not convinced that the leagues of Bolivia, Peru, maybe even the Colombian league. I don't think they are ahead of the MLS, and this is what we have. So we gotta enjoy it. I think it's a product that is making its way to my heart. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I think it's a product that's delivering more positive results. Looking at this from the Liga MX point, like we do on this channel, this year than it was last year. Last year, if we look at Jornada 1, it was a little different because last year MLS teams in the first jornada were able to play in the group stage were able to play each other. Here they're not. So here we just look at last year MLS versus Liga MX in jornada one. MLS won 7-1, 7 wins to 1 win from Liga MX. Here in jornada one, after 18 games, man, Liga MX started off on fire, dude. But in the second match day of Jornada 1 of the group stage, MLS came roaring back, and MLS took a 10-8 lead, 10 wins to Mexico, Liga MX, 8 wins. So looking better for Liga MX, 7-1 last time, 10-8 this time for Jornada 1. And we're just looking at Jornada 1 of group stage 1, but still not the dominance that we've come to expect from Liga MX, specifically in CONCACAF region, if we talk in CONCACAF. So what do you think before we start analyzing some of the positive performances for Liga MX and Jornada 1? What do you think can be the reason to Liga MX, slow starts in Leagues Cup going forward, or in the previous editions and this edition?
Listen, I think that of course on previous editions the main there were a couple of things here, right? The first one being Liga MX was maybe like in week 3 or week 2 whenever Leagues Cup was
Right.
happening. So a lot of the teams were coming from a long summer break with a bunch of new players showing up to the squad and maybe still finding their way into what the coach wanted them to play as, right? That's the first thing. And then second
Yeah.
of all is, and continues to be a point of contention here, is that I mean all Liga MX teams are playing pretty much away, with the exception of a few of them that have a huge fan base in the United States. But the fact that they were traveling to multiple cities for just one match, right? On the first edition, we had Monterrey traveling pretty much all over the country, all over the United States. On the
Yeah.
second edition, things changed a little bit, so they had like hubs, right? But Mexican teams were still
Right.
traveling to to the U.S. and some people say that that is advantage, whatever it is. And this time around is slightly different because now you have only MLS, like Liga MX teams only play against MLS teams, and vice versa, right? And even though they're
Hmm.
traveling, for example, Tigres is went from Houston to San Diego and then from San Diego to Los Angeles, which you might argue that are shorter distances, right? I think those are the two big points here, is that Mexican teams had to travel a lot, and then their season just barely started. I think those were the two main points, or the two main reasons why the Liga MX sides were sluggish to begin with. When you compare it to the MLS, which is like almost in the middle or shortly after the middle of the season, right? It's a long season. I think it's like 10 months or so. And by the time Leagues Cup comes around, which is towards like the end of the summer or the middle of the summer, uh, MLS teams are pretty much in gear, are well oiled up, right? They've been playing for a few months now, and they have no stopping point, right?
Yeah, I mean the All Star break just happened. We saw that MLS All Stars versus Liga MX All Stars, right? So that's kind of the what distinguishes halfway point more or less for MLS. So I agree. It's a very different variables that come into play here for reasoning why Liga MX usually starts slow in these tournaments. But I think even if we consider just last season's League Cup to this season's, there's been an improvement. There's been more victories for Liga MX, and from the first, let's go through the first jornada and we'll just demonstrate just how strong Liga MX started on match day one.
Yep.
Match day one, Tuesday, July 29th, Toluca beat Columbus in penalties, 4-2 in penalties after 2-2 in regulation. Montreal beat Leon in penalties, 7-6. They're keeping score. It's 1-1 at that point. Same day, Tuesday, Puebla beats New York City, 3-0. Also Tuesday, Tigres dominates Houston, 4-1. Mazatlan beats LAFC after a lot of penalties, 11-10, after 1-1 in regulation. Pachuca beat San Diego 3-2, a red card for San Diego FC. And from that first day of Tuesday, we're seeing 5-1 domination of Mexico, Liga MX versus MLS, right? Then if we go to Wednesday, Inter Miami started strong for MLS, winning 2-1 against Atlas. Necaxa ended up beating Atlanta United. I was going to say Atlante. Necaxa beat them 3-1. Pumas won 4-3 against Orlando. Minnesota won 4-1 against Querétaro. Real Salt Lake beat Club America in
That is crazy.
penalties. Portland won 4-0 against San Luis. Monterrey lost 2-3 against Cincinnati.
Yep.
We're just seeing a lot of MLS domination here on the second day. And yesterday, Thursday, that was at Monterrey Cincinnati match. Guadalajara also lost to Red Bulls 1-0. Juarez beat Charlotte 4-1. Colorado beat Santos Laguna 2-1. Seattle Sounders with the match, the performance. It had to beat Cruz Azul,
Holy
doing Cruz Azul things,
yeah.
losing 7-0 to Seattle Sounders, and then LA Galaxy beating Tijuana 5-2. So strong performances from MLS sides in second day and third day of the tournament after a really strong start showing for Liga MX. Adrian, man, what has been? I know you're going to say Tigres after a strong performance. Was that your best performance for a Liga MX squad so far in Portland?
I don't know. Listen, the Tigres one, I think, is definitely a good performance, all things considered. Understanding that Guido Pizarro just barely started as the coach, right? Just last semester in the middle of Clausura 2025. But I really don't think that was the strongest display of a Liga MX side. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think Toluca was the strongest display of a Liga MX side. I understand that Toluca started with some sort of like a hybrid of a team, right? Half starting 11 players, half bench players. But the
Mm-hmm.
fact that Toluca was playing against arguably one of the best teams in MLS in the name of Columbus Crew,
Current
yeah,
champions.
current champion of Leagues Cup, and they were able to have some sort of a comeback and tie the game and win it in penalties. I think it's definitely a very strong display from a strong team from Liga MX. The one, the Tigres match, it's Dynamo is not doing great. Haven't been doing great for a while now. The
Yeah.
4-1, it's kind of it's un marcador engañoso in my opinion. Just because, listen, Tigres definitely has improved offensively speaking, but there's still a few questions on the back, and Houston Dynamo was not a challenge enough to break the defensive structure of Tigres. Um, if you pay attention to the last Liga MX match that Tigres had against Toluca, which is a 3-4 victory of, for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were
Mm-hmm.
pretty much begging the referee to end the match because I mean
Yeah.
it was kind of,
It was almost a
yeah,
comeback.
exactly, it was a
Yeah.
rough ending for Tigres, and I don't think Houston Dynamo is at the same level as Toluca, so that's why I think the Toluca match was a very strong display. I do have to say that El Pueblota winning 3-0 against New
Yeah.
York FC was
Mm-hmm.
actually a surprise. I don't know if it was the best what's it called, the best display of a Liga MX side, but I was not expecting a 3-0 from Puebla.
Um, Before I go into Puebla, yeah, to echo what you said about Tigres, I think Tigres not the best display. I agree with it. I think Toluca played resilient, been able to come back, win that match, showing why the Liga MX champions. Tigres won on individual
Yeah.
brilliance, I believe. Um, After a strong first half, 60 minutes against Toluca, and barely scraping by, I think here it was more of a, just the real difference in, the squads between a Houston Dynamo and the Tigres showed with individual brilliances by Ángel Correa, etc. Um, what about Juaritos? Juarez winning 4-1 against Charlotte in a huge upset, I would say. Obviously playing in Charlotte in that big stadium they have at Bank of America Stadium, and being helped a little by the red card. Obviously ending in favor
Hmm.
in the 80th minute for Juarez, allowing them to score another goal, making it 4-1 at that point. But really, I mean, aside after the first 20 minutes, it was all Juarez. It was tied after 1-1 after 20 minutes, but after that, Juarez just dominated and ended up really being a big surprise for Liga
That
MX
was
here.
another big surprise. I have to agree. I was not expecting Juaritos to be that combative. I don't know if it goes to show that Charlotte is is not a strong team in any way. I cannot recall what's their standing on the current MLS season. But to be beaten by Juarez is definitely a you should be worried, right? Um,
Yeah.
Listen, I every well you and I have had the discussion where we've said that, hey, if you look at all the MLS sites, right, there's definitely a bigger amount, a larger amount of teams that are like kind of bad, pretty bad, and
Hmm.
then there's a you know when you compare it to Liga MX, you only have a portion, like a maybe five teams that are very, very bad, right? And I think
Right.
you would. I mean, I don't know. For me, it's like if when I see Charlotte, I think they're either slightly ahead of Juarez or at the same level. So for
Sure.
me to see this 4-1 is like, all right. I think Juarez woke up and said, you know what, I'm gonna be the Liga MX side for this third day of Jornada Uno, Phase One in League's Cup to do something about it, because the rest of them, all of them lost.
Yeah, I think I didn't mean it as an up when I said it was an upset. I meant as an upset, just Juarez playing away, playing all the way in Charlotte. I agree with you. Charlotte isn't one of those top MLS sides, right? We know
Hmm.
that, just like Juaritos isn't. So I think as far as 11 versus 11, it's a pretty even match, but just all the things in contra Juarez having to play away, just starting the Liga MX, Charlotte's fresh or in the middle of their tournament. We're playing against them, and to win that 4-1 was impressive. Adrian, I think they might be able to. I know it's early, but when I saw that match, maybe they could be a repeat Mazatlan from a few seasons ago.
Hey, that would be great.
Get far in this tournament.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mazatlan, of course, like we said, winning against the big, LAFC. That was more of a
I
upset
agree.
there. LAFC, we know, being one of the better teams in MLS. We gotta do the elephant in the room. We gotta talk about it. I know it's probably been talked about already. I've seen memes. I've seen analysts. Cruz Azul. What happened?
Dude, I no idea what happened. Honestly, for me, this 7-0. It's listen. I am not a huge fan of like firing coaches for the sake of firing coaches, but a 7-0
No,
is definitely a, I think in my books, and the way Cruz Azul had a display on the field, definitely a huge question mark to say, did we make the right choice at bringing Larcamon and not leaving Vicente Sanchez as the coach? Listen, there's no excuses here, man. I mean, if it was a situation where like 90% of the starting 11 from Cruz Azul was nothing but bench players, right? But even if you look at the bench
right.
players, they are actually quite competitive. So there's no
Yeah,
excuses on Cruz Azul's side. What surprises me is like it took him 45 minutes to score six goals or so. Uh,
7 goals.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's and listen, Sounders is definitely one of those like, you know, old reliable clubs in MLS with some history that
always
exactly
competitive.
like
Right.
to an extent, right? They haven't been necessarily dominant, but they are always there. It's like the Spurs of the MLS, if in a way, right? Um,
Yeah,
when the Spurs were good, because right now they're not necessarily
sure, sure.
in any rate whatsoever. But listen, man, I mean,
Basketball Spurs, we're talking about,
yes,
fellas.
exactly. Not Tottenham has never been good in any way. So, um, yeah, I listen. I wasn't able to watch the entire match. I watched the first half, and nothing really happened on the first half, right?
Mm,
But I was
yeah.
able to catch like a full recap of the second sorry second half, and I was surprised and appalled on all the goals from Seattle Sounders. Listen, great man. Especially the last one was a golazo. That was a freaking badass
Yeah.
goal.
Oh, dude.
Definitely,
Hmm.
perhaps a candidate for the goal of the tournament. But the other ones, dude, is like really stupid mistakes. Like they were just not necessarily focused on the match. I have no idea. I really don't know what happened because all six goals, with the exception of the golazo, were so easy. Like they were just freaking finishing the play inside the box. No pressure, no defense, no defender around the last touch player. I mean, I don't know. It's it's like Cruz Azul didn't want to play
Yeah.
or something.
And no, I agree. It's you had Kevin Mier, you had Eric Lira, you have Charles Rodriguez, Sepulveda, right? You had your a good starting core. Um, and even the first 45 minutes, the first half when it was 0-0, the first half you said you watched, um, it was a dull display from Cruz Azul. I don't remember a chance, a real chance threat created by Cruz Azul up to that
No.
point. Maybe it was Seattle Sounders. It took them a half to realize, hey, this Cruz Azul squad doesn't have anything that's scaring us, and then they just woke up and just went off. But I mean, even the first half when it was 0-0, you'd say, okay, well, Cruz Azul was in it, but they weren't really dominant. They weren't really producing much. So a lackluster first half and an abysmal just implosion second half. Cruz Azul, the most embarrassing performance I'd say in League's Cup history
Yeah,
for a Liga MX squad.
I no hands down.
Yeah,
Even if you look at the stats, man, I mean, they got completely obliterated in every single aspects.
yeah,
Sounders had almost double the shots, both on shots off target or shots overall, and then on target they had like 10 shots. Out of those 10 shots, seven were goals. Like, come on, that's crazy accuracy, right? 58% possession, 474 passes, 87% accuracy on the passes. Like, Jesus, I mean, listen, if I was Larcamon, I would have told my players like, hey, if you don't want to play, just let me know. We forfeit right now, and we take a 3-0 instead of the 7-0.
yeah,
You know, um,
yeah.
it's been hasn't been a great start for Larcamon in this Cruz Azul side in Liga MX. They come from
I mean, they're undefeated in Liga MX.
I think so, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think they're 1-1. I mean, it's only been three
yeah,
jornadas, no? But I mean, they haven't lost.
yeah. But
But yeah, I
Kevin
mean,
Mier had a
yeah,
very poor display in one of those matches, and now getting 7 goals. And granted, not all of them are his fault, but surely it doesn't look great on Kevin Mier.
yeah. And I mean, if we look at the matches that Cruz Azul has played so far in Liga MX, right? You tied Mazatlan, you tied 0-0 Mazatlan, you tied Atlas 3-3, so you let Atlas score 3 goals on you, and you beat Leon 4-1. I mean, the Leon victory, okay, maybe something magical happened there. We saw them wake up, but still, the first two jornadas in Liga MX were abysmal
Yeah,
for Cruz Azul. Even though they're undefeated, you're tying Atlas, you're tying Mazatlan. It just uh, not a good start. I
no,
agree. For Cruz Azul in League's Cup or Liga MX. Um, Adrian, man, Jornada 2 is underway right now as we speak. We have current matches for this. Sorry, it's loading for me here. Give me one sec.
oh, no worries.
We have current matches going on here in match day 2. New York City beating Leon 2-0. Columbus beating Puebla 3-1. Um, Mazatlan showing up for Liga MX, beating Houston 2-0 today. And currently, Toluca's the minute 98 as of this recording, beating Montreal 2-1. LAFC beating Pachuca 1-0. And later tonight, Adrian, the match we're going to wait and see Tigres versus San
Hmm.
Diego. to wrap up the first day of Jornada
Yes,
Dos.
sir.
Um, so good matches. We'll be sure to follow up and do our Jornada Dos recap at the end of Jornada Dos here on PPG. Adrian, anything you want to add as we wrap up this video, brother?
Listen, I think we ought to enjoy League's Cup because I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. So might as well make it, yeah,
Embrace it.
embrace it, enjoy it. I like to see Liga MX sides, getting face to face against MLS. I think it's just it's bound to happen. Let's enjoy it. Let's embrace it. It is what it is, and I hope to see a great display from Tigres in a couple of hours, or like in a couple of minutes, I should say. Yeah.
One question I want to leave you with,
Hmm.
Adrian, and man, if you want to answer it before we wrap up, go for it. But I want to address the listeners too, Liga MX fans out there. Um, we mentioned Liga MX starting 3 jornadas ago, and that could be a reason why they take time to adapt to League's Cup against fresh MLS sides. What do y'all think, and Adrian, what do you think is the big difference in performances between League's Cup and Conca Champions for Liga MX squads? Because we see a dominant display in
Yeah.
Conca Champions. League's Cup is different stories so far. I mean, the past two tournaments since they changed the format had been won by MLS sides,
Hmm.
right? Um, is it a combination of League's Cup just being something that Liga MX teams really don't care about, and they think Conca Champions is more prolific? Is it because Conca Champions happens while Liga MX is, in full force and MLS squads are just coming into preseason? Combination of both. What do you thought?
I think first and foremost, I mean, I think that the Mexican teams, Liga MX sides, they really see Conca Champions Cup as the big competition in the
Right.
region, right? Because that gives you, if you win it, that gives you access to the Club World Cup nowadays. Also, it has to do with the fact that it's in the middle of the season of Liga MX, and lastly, which I think it's severely underestimated by the MLS sites, is the home and away matches, like the two-legged matches. I think definitely put things into perspective because, well, I don't know what's the percentage of how many fields in the MLS are natural fields versus synthetic fields, right? And so there's a difference definitely in terms of like how high the ball bounce, how quick it
Yeah.
moves, and then also like, listen, I mean, the stadium infrastructure in Mexico is not great, and so I'm sure that they feel uncomfortable at some point as well. And so I think there's definitely some sort of like parity in having that two-legged competition.
So you're saying MLS teams don't like going to play in Corregidora
No, or in Pachuca,
or
or yeah, because I
Pachuca,
mean, apparently
Estadio
they
Hidalgo or
always
anything?
get sick in Pachuca.
Oh, yeah. Well, let us know in the comments below if you're enjoying this Leagues Cup tournament so far for Liga MX. Who's your Liga MX squad? Do you think they're going to get out the group? And, as we develop and continue coverage for this tournament, as we go into Jornada match day 2 of the group stage, then I know we're going to go watch Tigres match. So, see you in the next one,
Take it
bro.
easy, my friend. Deuces.